Chris, let me join the chorus congratulating you and thanking you for an excellent job as moderator. What's the biggest takeaway from the 90 minutes for you?
I survived.
There you go.
I felt like I should have gotten a T-shirt in Las Vegas and said I'd moderated a 90-minute presidential debate and lived to tell the tale. What were the biggest takeaways? First of all, just on a personal level, from my point of view, I thought I'd done everything in this business, but I'll tell you, when you're waiting in the wings to be the solo moderator of a presidential debate, general election debate, and in less than 3 weeks, one of these two people is going to be the next president, that gets your heart pounding, and it was for a while. I started the debate, and I kept hearing this person asking questions, and I was thinking, who else is here? And then I realized it was me. It was an out-of-body experience. But then I kind of eased into it, and I wouldn't say relaxed, but I was fully engaged. And I will tell you, you go in. I had a book of questions on each of the 6 topics, very deeply and thoroughly researched and fact-checked. But one of the things that I realized is that you've got to make a lot of split-second decisions. Do I let this conversation go on, or do I not? Is it turning into a series of speeches instead of a back and forth? So you're making a lot of kind of instinctual, seat-of-the-pants decisions about when to jump in and when to just let it go.
Yeah, well, obviously critics on both sides appreciated your instincts in that situation. And you must, in your preparation, have anticipated their responses. Anything surprise you?
Well, only the question that made the biggest news, not that it really surprised me, but obviously the question about whether or not Trump would respect the results of the election. It had been a big issue for the last couple of weeks. Trump, of course, talking about the election is rigged, she's stealing it from me, so much so that Mike Pence, his running mate, had been asked on Sunday, will you respect the results? And he said, absolutely, Trump, and I will. But Trump hadn't said that, so I wasn't sure which way he was going to go, but I knew that either way it would make some news. I have to say, even though I was certainly prepared for the possibility that he would say no, when he actually said it, not only was I a little bit taken aback, but the crowd in the audience very quietly gasped. And then I thought, and this was just, a seat-of-the-pants decision, that I needed to put this into historical perspective for him, for the audience, that, one of the strengths of our democracy, part of the glue that holds us together, is the idea that no matter how hard-fought a campaign is, when it's over, the loser concedes to the winner, and we go on in support of the new president. And even then, he again said, I'm going to keep you in suspense. And I knew right away that was the news of the evening.
Right. What do you say to his supporters who suggest that the media is just simply making too much out of that one moment in the debate?
Well, look, he has been talking for 2 weeks about this election being rigged and stolen. He tried to clean it up the day after and said, look, if it's a clear decision, I will respect it, but I reserve the right, if it's another 2000 where it's 500 votes in one state, to contest it. If he had said that instead of what he said in front of 70 million people on Wednesday night, there would have been no big deal about it. But that isn't what he said. What he said is, I'm going to keep you in suspense, and I think that came back to hurt him.
So what do you make of the argument among the Trump camp that this is going to be a Brexit kind of vote, that there's this sort of hidden popularity that's not reflected in the polls that we're going to see on Election Day? Do you buy that?
Well, I don't buy it in the sense of thinking it's true, but I certainly leave my mind open to the possibility that it could happen. We've had a series of votes, whether it was the Brexit vote in Great Britain or whether it was the vote on the peace deal in Colombia, where that went down to defeat when the polls showed it was overwhelmingly going to be supported. Things happen in elections, and is it possible that we'll all be surprised? We all remember Harry Truman holding up the newspaper that said, Dewey beats Truman, and it'll keep the next 2 weeks more exciting. But if to the degree that you believe the polls, and maybe not an individual one, but the vast average of a bunch of polls, both nationally and in swing states, he does seem to be behind. Now, things could happen in the next 16, 18 days that would change that, but I don't see any conventional reason to believe that she isn't ahead as we sit here today.
Chris, last night at the Al Smith dinner, it seemed pretty clear that the two of them don't like each other very much.
That was pretty clear at the debate. Let me just say, that was pretty clear at the debate. Remember Keith Jackson, the great football announcer, used to say about rivalry games, he'd say, these two teams just plain don't like each other. Right. I felt that way on Wednesday night.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I mean, it's one thing to watch it on TV. You were in their presence. What was your sense of their dynamic?
It was chilly, and the fact that they didn't shake hands at the beginning, which was unprecedented, and then they didn't shake hands at the end, which was even more unprecedented because they had done that in the last debate. And then when she came over to just say, you know, thank you, good job, he didn't come over next to her. He waited until she had left the scene and had gone down the steps to see her family before he came over to me. You just had the sense they don't even like, at this point, to be in each other's presence.
Right. What do you have coming up on Fox News Sunday this weekend, Chris?
Well, you know, we're going to be looking ahead. Final 16 days of the campaign. Does Trump have a way back? If so, what is it? What's the strategy? We'll be talking with Kellyanne Conway, and of course we'll also talk about this whole question of respecting the results, but mainly looking forward. And then, because debate questions are never a good thing to waste, we're going to have our own second redo debate between Newt Gingrich, big Trump supporter, of course from Georgia, and Javier Becerra, a Democratic congressional leader from California. And I've got some good questions that we never got to in the debate, so I'll brush them off and take them out, and we'll see what happens.
Well, once again, congratulations. I've shared with my social media friends here that now they know what I've known for years, which is that you're a pro, and it was a pleasure to watch. Thanks.
Russ, thank you very much.